This is my first ASMR video, and except like the classic ASMR, my first ASMR videos, I'm actually going to be teaching everybody like something about organic chemistry or the first part. Well, I do quarter system, so this will be like the first part of the quarter. So I think what we need to first do is I will go over what chirality is. And I'm not a very good teacher, so I hope I explain it well, but let's just do it. So, what chirality is, it's basically when something is not superimposable, and obviously, if you're taking like a general chemistry course, they've probably like gone over it, where it's like you always use like their hands, and it's like they're mirror images of each other, and when you put your hand over the other hand, they mirror each other, but then you can't like put your hand over it. But every time I heard that example, I thought it was a little bit confusing, so I'm gonna use an actual example. So with chirality, did I spell that right? I'm like kind of dyslexic. I spelled it wrong actually. That's why I'm not an English major. Non superimposable image. Okay, did I spell superimposable correctly though? Oh, I did. And obviously the opposite of a chiral molecule is going to be achiral. So that's good to know. So speaking in chemistry terms, an sp3 hybridized molecule which has four, here I'll do this different color. I'm kind of bad with the tapping thing. Sorry guys, I don't really like tapping, but I know some of you guys do, so I'll keep that up. Four unique, underline that because it's very important. And then we'll go back to black. Substituents. I just like accidentally bumped into the mic. I'm really sorry. I really hope I'm not breathing all over you. I'm gonna hold on my breath just in case that annoys some of you guys. I don't want you guys to get annoyed. So, chirality, it's superimposable images. Oh, I'm gonna say mirror images. I'm so sorry. Mirror images. And so an example would be an sp3 hybridized molecule which has four unique substituents. And this would be called a chirality center. So it'd be something like this. This is going to be a carbon molecule, this black dot. And then I will attach four unique things to it. Oops, I just accidentally bumped into it. I'm sorry. Also, I don't know if you guys like whispering or soft spoken, so I keep switching in between both. The pink one will be like a random molecule, we'll say like hydrogen. And then this green one will be like, I don't know, we'll just say like oxygen, even though oxygen usually blue, so we'll switch it up. And then the blue one could be like fluorine. And then this like magenta color could be like, oh, that looks like pink. I'll use a different one actually. I'll use a light blue, even though that's gonna look the same. Or like light blue, like a methyl group or something, which is CH3. Okay, so these are four unique groups attached to a carbon center, which means it has a chirality center, and it has to be 4 unit groups. If it was like hydrogen, fluorine, and then 2 methyl groups, that's not a chirality center. That's just a molecule. So it has to be exactly 4. And then the mirror image of this would be, this is the carbon still. Oh, wait, sorry guys. And then we would literally draw like the mirror of it. Oh, oopsies, sorry. We should be like that. Okay, like, oh, I actually used the wrong one. Sorry, they look very similar. This is the methyl group. And then this is the, did I say this was the fluorine? No, this is the fluorine. This is the, no, this is the oxygen, this is the fluorine. Okay, I don't want to confuse you guys because I already know this is confusing. Okay, so this would be its mirror images. And when you, I want you guys to imagine this because unfortunately I do not have my molecular model kit with me. It's back at school and it's winter break, so I want you to imagine you literally take this molecule and you put it right on top. And when you do that, it's not going to be the same exact molecule because look, when you put this molecule on top of here, this green atom would match with the methyl atom, and then this methyl group would go on the green atom, and then these are often the same, but these would make it not the same because these do not match. I hope that makes sense, and I hope it's less confusing than the hand one that teachers always or professors love to do. Okay, now that this is done, let me erase it. Also, sorry, my whiteboard is very messy. Um, I use this whiteboard a lot when I was studying for Gen Chem. I don't know if you can tell, there's a bunch of like SB stuff here. Because I don't think I can get rid of it because I haven't used this whiteboard in like so long. Okay, let's go to, we're talking about wedges and dashes because I know that confuses some people. So when you draw a chiral center, you always have to use wedges and dashes. So like this. And the dash means it's going away. It's like going away from you. And then the wedge means it's like coming towards you. Okay, and then the dashes, I mean like the lines, I mean like they're just in plane. Like when you see it, it's like this, like the pen, like it's literally in plane. And that means the wedge would come towards you like that, and the dash is like going away. Wait, let me see if I did that right because I feel like I'm messing up. Yeah, I'm right. Anyways, sorry guys. And when you draw wedges and dashes on your chirality centers, you always put it on the same side, like this. You do not draw it like this because this is like wrong. I think your ochem professor would freak the hell out if you did it like that. So no, that is bad. And of course, if there's a hydrogen, because ochem people don't like drawing in hydrogens, you could just omit it. Like you could just draw the wedge, and then obviously there's like an invisible hydrogen, but you don't have to draw that. It'll just be implicit. Same with the dashes, like implicit hydrogen right there, like this. But then you can just draw like that, and you just have to remember. That's it for wedges and dashes. Hopefully that was helpful. Let me see. Now we're going to assign R and S. This also confused me a lot when I learned about it because, I mean, it's kind of confusing if you think about it. So when we assign R and S to chiral molecules, we're going to use something called the cane in gold prelog notation. So this is a way to describe the chirality of molecules, and it's the positions of the constituents that are determined to label compounds, to label either R or S. And I hope that makes sense because that clearly did not make sense to me. So we'll just go over it. So the rules of the, I'm just gonna call this the pre-log notation because it's kind of long. So the rules of this, the atoms on the chiral center are ranked by atomic number. Okay, that's the first rule. Easy, right? So the higher atomic number has a higher priority. So we'll just put higher atomic number, higher priority. Okay, that's the easy part. And so that means the lowest rank is usually hydrogen in ochem. Lowest rank. Usually H, hydrogen, is going to be pointed away from you. Although I'm really sorry because my mic is really shitty. I just bought a Blue Yeti that's gonna come soon. So hopefully you could actually hear me writing on the whiteboard when it comes. I apologize guys, this is literally my first video. So that means the lowest ranking substituent is going to be on a dash. That has to happen. And so this is how the positions are ranked. Clockwise is right, which will be R, and then counterclockwise is left, which is S. And this is like kind of a fun fact, but this R obviously means right, but in Latin, the S for this, it means sinister. And I thought that was really funny because I think when they were figuring this out, like assigning R S, like left-handed people are considered like evil. I'm sorry, my lefties. So that's what they denoted the left as sinister. Okay, so let's do an example. I have a chlorine on a dash. There's an ethyl group on the right, and there's a methyl group on the left, which means there's a hydrogen on a dash. So how do we assign this? Okay, obviously, so we look at the center carbon, and there's a chlorine attached to it that is rank number 1 because of this rule. And we have to look to the carbon, and it's attached to a methyl and another. Well, there's an ethyl group, but like, see, there's a carbon here. It's attached to 3 hydrogens. And this carbon over here is attached to 2 hydrogens. And so when we put them together, so C, H, 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 and then C, H, H, they're going to be the same. So we have to look again. There's obviously nothing on this side. So when they're the same like this, you keep going to the next carbon and you look for the difference. So we go here, and then there's 3 hydrogens attached. There's a carbon, so C, H, H, H. And this is the first difference. So that means this group is rank number 2. That means this methyl group is rank number 3. And this hydrogen is rank number 4. And when we do the circle, this is like stupid, sorry guys. I think it's easier to see if you flip it. I kind of drew this, but this is going to be an R. But then when you can flip these chirality centers to make it into an S. if you flip this ethyl group here and put this methyl group here, it'll be an S here. I'll show you. It might be easier to see if I just do it, you know? Oh my goodness, I drew that very bad. This is like, sorry. Okay, here. See. Sorry, I feel like I keep forgetting to do the tapping. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So look, it's counterclockwise, so this would be an S configuration. If you flip, I hope that made sense. Okay. Now we can also have multiple chirality centers. This is going to take a while to erase. Let me I hope you guys remember the rules for the gold in log. I don't even fucking know what it's called. I'll show you what I mean by multiple chirality centers. So we can have something like this. There's a chlorine on which, and then we can have a bromine here, and we can see there is 4 unique substituents here. We have the bromine, the methyl, and then this group, and then the hydrogen. We have a chlorine, a methyl group, and then this substituent attached here, and then another hydrogen, which is 4 unique substituents on each center carbon. And let's assign R and S to it. Let's start with the center carbon. So the bromine is obviously number 1. And then that means if you look to center carbon to the right here, this is number 3 because there's a chlorine attached to this carbon, which means this methyl group would be, did I just say that's 3? I apologize, I mean this is number 2. This is, oh my goodness, I apologize again. Okay guys, this is number 1 because this bromine is attached to this carbon. Then when we look to the right of this carbon, there's a chlorine attached to that. So this is rank number 2. And then that means the methyl group will be rank number 3. And then obviously the invisible hydrogen will be rank number 4. So this configuration would be R. Now let's do the chlorine. Chlorine is rank number 1. This is rank number 2 because of this bromine. And then this methyl group is rank number 3. And then we have the invisible hydrogen again. And when we do it, it's also clockwise. So this is configuration R. Now there's also these things called enantiomers and diastereomers, and I'll show you what they are because they can get really confusing. So say if I switched the chirality centers, say just like, oh my goodness, I switched, I'm just gonna draw these arrows to show these are not resonance arrows if you're ahead, you know. If I switch the chlorine into a dash, and then I keep this bromine on a wedge, these would be diastereomers, and I'll show you why. So you see these, how these are both on dashes, wedges, and then when I switched one of them, this one is specifically into a dash, when not all chirality centers change, this would be a diastereomer. And that's always the case. When not all chirality centers change, it will be a diastereomer. Here, let's also assign R and S again, just for practice. So this has not changed. This bromine one is still R, but maybe we can see if the chlorine one has changed. So we still have 1, 2, 3, and then it's on a wedge hydrogen, so it's a 4. And then you would think it'd be also R again, but remember, you cannot have the lowest ranking substituent on a wedge. It has to be pointing away from you. So when you find out the lowest ranking substituent is there on a wedge and you already assigned numbers, you just flip the configuration. So you see how this is R. Just change it into S. So now this is an S configuration. Okay, now what if we change all the chirality centers from this original molecule? Okay, now they're all dashes. This is called an enantiomer of this. And an enantiomer is when all chirality centers change. So let's also assign R and S just for practice again. So this has not changed the numbering. These will always be the same. And then, but remember, you can never have the hydrogen on a wedge. It has to be on a dash. So what do? You just signs, because this was R, now it's S because of the hydrogen being on a wedge. Same thing goes for chlorine. I'm not going to draw the numbers anymore because I think you guys got it by now. So that means this is also S. And when you see diastereomers, let me actually spell diastereomer for you guys because that word, it kind of trips me up. I don't think I'm going to spell it correctly. There we go. Well, you can see from the original molecule, and then when it flips, you can tell when it's an enantiomer when the configurations all change. And then compared to the diastereomer, you can see only one of the configuration changes. So that's how you can also tell. Okay, let's draw the enantiomer of this molecule. This is the enantiomer of this, and this is the enantiomer of that. They go both ways. Same for the diastereomers. This is a diastereomer of that, and this is a diastereomer of this one. This is an enantiomer of that. This is an enantiomer of this molecule. It gets kind of confusing, and I don't think I'm a very good teacher, so I feel like I confuse people. So we can see that. So let me draw this in. This is a diastereomer as well, as you can see, because all of these are dashes. Only one changed to a wedge, and that was the chlorine. Same thing for this one. These two are diastereomers because this entire molecule is full of dashes. As you can see, this bromine has a dash, and this chlorine has a dash. And only one of the stereocenters changed here. Chlorine is the only one that's changed into a wedge. So this means these two are diastereomers. And that means these two are also diastereomers because look, only one stereocenter changes. So we can see all these relationships in this. These diagonal molecules are all enantiomers, and these horizontal vertical molecules, if that makes sense, are all diastereomers. And we can see that when we assign R and S to this molecule as well, So 1, 2, 3, and then that invisible hydrogen, and that's, we can see the hydrogen's on a wedge, and it's originally clockwise, so it's R, but it's going to be S because we have to switch the hydrogen to be on a dash which is facing away from us. We can also just see from here. Now this is S, so this didn't change, so it will stay as an S configuration. And then this chlorine, if you look up here to the wedge, it's R. So you don't have to like assign it, but you can just see if you're comparing a bunch of different molecules. Let me check the next thing. Okay, so we can also have achiral molecules. Let me just erase everything. I also hope the lighting isn't too bright because every time I watch ASMR videos, some of these ASMR artists love putting like a really bright like ring light for some reason, and then like it just like it's just so bright and it just blinds me when I try to sleep. Sorry, that was really unrelated. Okay, we can have achiral molecules with chirality centers, which sounds very, I guess, counterintuitive in a way because achiral molecules with chirality centers. Here, I'll show you what I mean. So basically, compounds with chirality centers, but they're not chiral, are called mesocompounds. So let me write that down. Mesocompounds. Compounds with chirality centers. If I can spell that again, there we go. Chirality centers. But are not chiral. I think this is like the most important thing to remember, that mesocompounds, they have chirality centers, but they're not chiral. So they have to have stereocenters to be mesocompounds. So it's going to look something like this. It's usually going to be like a cis compound. As you can see, there's two chirality centers here and here. Because when you go to the left and right, they don't match, they're different, and then they have the invisible hydrogen. And when you have its mirror image, or it's the same thing basically. Look, they're not the mirror images, but I say that for simplicity reasons. You can see they have a center or a plane of symmetry. And they are mesocompounds. Because look, when you flip them into dashes or wedges, they're completely the same. Okay, that's it for that. That's very simple. I hope that made sense. I'll say to buy an actual eraser because I've just been abusing this poor eraser pen. So there's something called optical activity, and I'll just end here because this video is getting very long. So I'll write it down. Optical activity. So this is something to do with like polarized light, and I'm not going to get into too much detail because I don't really think calculating the specific rotation is very important to like the introductory ochem, unless your professor's like crazy and makes you calculate it. But basically, enantiomers, if you remember, which are mirror images of molecules, they can rotate and polarize light in equal but opposite directions. So they can either rotate to the right or the left, but it does not correspond to R or S necessarily, so don't always assume it. If it rotates to the right, it'll be the right configuration, or if it rotates to the left, it'll be S. That's not really how it works. And then there is actually a formula for calculating specific rotation, and I'll just write it down if you want to know what it is. So I'll use black. It's going to be alpha. Oh, that's a bad alpha, my bad. And then 100 over. I actually don't know these, like, what the letters mean. I'm bad with Greek stuff. What the alpha means measures rotation. And the C, that is not, I apologize guys, the C just means concentration. Concentration. Which is in grams per 100 mils. And L is just the path length in decimeters. Oh my goodness, there we go. I don't think this is very important unless you take a higher ochem class. But this is just if you want to know the specific rotation formula. Okay, so I think this is actually the most important thing to understand about optical activity is that racemic mixtures, which always gets mentioned. Racemic mixture. So a racemic mixture is when it has the equal parts of each enantiomer, so as R and S equal parts of each enantiomer. And that means there's no net rotation of the light because if it's equal part, it basically cancels each other out if it's R and S. Okay, I think that's it for this lesson. I really hope that it was helpful. I feel like I didn't really do a good job. I'm really bad at teaching, but I genuinely really enjoy organic chemistry, so I really wanted to try and teach it because I plan on being like tutor in a way for students that struggle with it because I know it's pretty hard. So I wanted to at least try and just get it out. And because I start another part of the ochem series next quarter, so I need to remember everything that I like learned from this quarter. Yeah. I hope it was, I guess, relaxing, or I guess I hope it put you to sleep. I'm so sorry, I'm really awkward. Well, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night, and I hope you learned something. I am a cool benzene, and I hope you enjoyed this video.